This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada.
The books were originally quite successful, and LM, who people discovered to be a woman, yes, a woman, became quite well known. Unfortunately, the inevitable bullies and critics came by and started to tear the books down as being too Canadian. FYI, there is no such thing. And something that will not get any better or see any more exposure, especially outside of the fledgling country.
Hello, and welcome to Canada as I see it.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about Anne of Green Gables. This is the title of the first of a series of books written by Lucy Maud Montgomery in 1908. The idea for the books is based on Lucy's real-life experiences as a child in Prince Edward Island. Anne's experiences in the books, Lucy always said, are where the comparison to her life ends. Anne was an orphan girl that was left with an older couple in the fictional town of Avonlea in Prince Edward Island. They lived in a house that, yes, had dark green gables. Now, a gable is the triangular part at the top part of the roof of a building where the two opposing slopes meet. This is something that I did not know until I began doing the research for this essay. You'll remember, I told you way back when, I wasn't interested in history or things like that back in the day. Well, better late than never. Anne of Green Gables was first published by L.C. Page and Company of Boston on June 13th, 1908. The book quickly became a bestseller, selling over 19,000 copies in the first 5 months. Since then, a few more have been sold. Over 50 million copies have been sold worldwide. Montgomery's original manuscript is preserved by the Confederation Center of the Arts in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Since 2022, the center has hosted a project in which digital images of the entire manuscript can be examined online. A transcript of the manuscript was published by Nimbus Publishing in 2019. Unfortunately, Montgomery's original typescript and the corrected proofs have been lost. The difference between those two things are manuscript is actually the original set of notes and perhaps more or less completed story, and the typescript is the transcription of written notes and original. So, in effect, you're getting an older thing there rather than the more modern. As well, in 2019, Canadian publishing company Braden Press crowdfunded a Scottish Gaelic translation of Anne of Green Gables. Okay, here comes my pronunciation. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Anna Rod. And this happened through the crowdfunding website Kickstarter. The book was released in 2020 and is the first Scottish Gaelic translation. There are 8 books in the primary Anne of Green Gables series, which follows the life of Anne Shirley through childhood to adulthood. The books are Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island, Anne of Windy Poplars, Anne's House of Dreams, Anne of Ingleside, Rainbow Valley, and Rilla of Ingleside. Now, Rilla, as I was learning about all of this myself, she is the daughter of Anne Shirley. Lucy Maud Montgomery was born in New London, Prince Edward Island, on November 30th, 1874. So we've just passed the 151st anniversary of her birth. That town is actually halfway between Kensington and Cavendish. Cavendish is actually where the actual Green Gables farmhouse is situated. The town of Avonlea in the books is, in fact, based on Cavendish. Lucy did live in Ontario for a total of 22 years. The first place she lived at was called Leaskdale Manse, and that was in... go ahead. Leaskdale, Ontario, about 110 kilometers northeast of Toronto. And she lived there from 1911 to 1926, where she lived with her husband and children and wrote 11 of her 22 novels there, including Anne of the Island and Anne's House of Dreams. It is also a National Historic Site and museum open to the public. Now, her final home, prophetically called Journey's End, she lived there from 1935 to 1942, and that was where she wrote her last novels and where she died. It does remain a private residence to this day, and I can actually walk to it from where I am right now. Now, unfortunately, as the name of her house alluded, those were dark years for the Canadian writer. Quote, "There has never been any happiness in this house. There never will be. The present is unbearable. The past is spoiled. There is no future." Those quotes came from her journal. She had actually been suffering from depression for years, and it really deepened near the end of her life. She was plagued by mood swings and waves of anxiety, haunted by nightmares and painful memories, and unfortunately, this started affecting her physically. Headaches, vomiting, shooting pains, and trembling hands. She had difficulty sleeping. At times, she couldn't concentrate well enough to write. Of course, doctors prescribed pills to take care of her, but they only made things worse, and it was only a matter of time before she was hooked on them. Meanwhile, of course, the bullies come out, and her literary legacy was not doing any better. It was under attack. There was a point where Montgomery's stories had been enjoyed by men, women, boys, and girls of all ages. Even the Prime Minister of Great Britain sang her praises. But by this point, her work was being dismissed by a new generation of male modernist critics who claimed her books were too sugary to be enjoyed by anyone but little girls, and that her stories were too regional, too Canadian. And they said they would never appeal to a worldwide audience. Canadian fiction, according to one of her harshest and most influential critics, was to go no lower. Yet she kept fighting. Even as her depression deepened, her family life crumbled, and the Second World War broke out. Montgomery became a passionate advocate for Canadian authors, giving speeches and readings, imparting advice to young writers, insisting that these Canadian stories were well worth telling, and that Canadian voices were worth hearing. It was on a spring day in 1942 that it all finally caught up with her. On the very same day, the manuscript of her final sequel to Anne of Green Gables was dropped off at her publisher's office. Her maid found Montgomery dead in bed. There were pill bottles on the table next to her, along with a sheet of paper that read, "I have lost my mind by spells, and I do not dare think what I may do in those spells. May God forgive me, and I hope everyone will forgive me, even if they cannot understand. My position is too awful to endure, and nobody realizes it. What an end to a life in which I tried always to do my best." Her family kept Montgomery's depression and her apparent suicide a secret for more than 60 years, until her granddaughter finally revealed the truth in 2008, hoping to contribute to a more honest conversation about mental illness. If Lucy could only have lived to see the international success that her creation has seen. People travel from all over the world just to see the cottage that Lucy wrote the books about. They get married there. They dress up as the characters, especially the one with red hair and pigtails. And they constantly keep the population of Canada's smallest province at more than double of what it actually is. There have been, through the years, multiple editions of all of her books and several versions of Anne and her experiences produced for television. The most recent one, Anne with an E, that was something that she insisted on. It's Anne with an E. That wrapped production after 3 years, back in 2023. My goodness, all of this from the first book written by a 34-year-old woman 117 years ago. There are 2 eastern Canadian provinces that I have yet to visit, and one of them is Prince Edward Island. You can bet that one of the places we will stop at will be Green Gables. And speaking of PEI, even though it hosted the meetings on Canadian Confederation, ironically, did not become a province itself until 6 years later. The other province I have yet to visit is New Brunswick. A friend of mine from university, I contacted her this week, and she'll be telling us a story of her home. This will probably happen before the end of the year. Now, if I've yet to talk about your province, no, scratch that. Even if I have, and you want to tell me something neat about it, send me a message. You can either read it and send me an audio file, or a little story that I can read out for you. Send either of those to me at asiseeit@warpole.ca. That's WHORPOLE.ca. Today's show was introduced by Derek. Thank you very much, Derek. If you want to introduce the show yourself, you can record yourself saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada," and you can email that audio file to me at asiseeit@warpole.ca. Do you like what you hear? Do you enjoy listening to what I produce? If you do, please do consider supporting my cause. If you go to the website, warpole.ca, you'll see a little yellow icon in the upper right corner labeled Buy Me a Coffee. Now, I don't actually get a coffee delivered to me when you do that. It's just a thing. If you click on that button, you'll have an opportunity to send some money my way, as little or as much as you like. Your support will help me to maintain the equipment and perhaps expand, and it will pay for outings that I might take to get to the heart of some stories. And honestly, it does let me know that you're out there and am hopefully entertaining you. Someone else joined the club last week. She's been listening since the beginning. Thank you very, very much, Coralie. Now, the coffee thing, if you just want to get together, I mean, if you know me and you say, hey, James, let's go for coffee, I'll take that too, sure. Canada, as I see it, is a production of the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. Our theme music is Night Owls by Brayton Deal. I'm here every Sunday for another look at how I see Canada. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have yourselves a wonderful week.